Hello, welcome to Tai Chi Kindness, my new podcast, which talks about Tai Chi, the health benefits, and how you can learn about Tai Chi if you live in Clearwater, Florida, where my classes are, or even online. So if this interests you, stick around for the next 30-ish minutes, and I will be right back after this message.
Another sunrise on the road again, chasing wisdom carried on the wind. This quiet pull inside my soul tells me it's time for me to go. 'Cause I'm always looking for a home, even when I'm meant to roam. Oh, this ancient whisper in my heart says go forth right from the start.
And again, this is Deborah Cohen, and I am learning Tai Chi after COVID. Some of you that are listening might be suffering still with what they're calling long COVID, and you're trying to make a comeback. In my case, I have been a yoga teacher since 2017, and when I got hospitalized with COVID, left with breathlessness and a torn meniscus, that did me in as far as a yoga teacher. I can't do the warrior poses because it hurts, it's painful. But I decided to try to find something else to keep moving as a senior citizen and discovered Tai Chi. I am currently in classes with Tai Chi, the Yang style 24 form, and want to build a tribe of people that are interested as adults and are interested in becoming more ambulatory if you're elderly, or just want to feel better and freer and kinder. So the name of my business is Tai Chi Kindness, because kindness is a key characteristic of people that are connected to this realm of health that others aren't even aware of. So perhaps you'd like to share this video. This is the beginning of my journey with Tai Chi, and I'm sharing it with you so that you can learn, that we can grow together, and we can help each other and bond in a spirit of well-being. My name is Deborah Cohen, and the reason I'm starting today's podcast with the Dan Tien is because I've been in several classes, Qigong and Tai Chi, and the instructor mentions nothing about the Dan Tien, which kind of blows my socks off, because if you, the practitioner, or whatever you want to call yourself, I used to say yogi, so I'll have to find out what the buzzword or the slang is for a Tai Chi practitioner, somebody who practices Tai Chi. Tai Chier? I don't know. But if you are not aware of your Dan Tien, or even what it is, then you're going to have postural distortion when you practice, and we don't want that. This is to make our posture better, but you need to be aware of the command center of your body. If you know where your Dan Tien is, put your hand there now, or put it in the chat. What part of your human body is the location of the Dan Tien? Think about that for a minute, and I think I will play a little Tai Chi music to get us in the mood. All right. Well, those that are listening aren't putting it in the chat, so I would say you're going to learn something new today. Let's begin. And if you want to take notes, I encourage it, because this is very detailed anatomical information that a serious practicer of Tai Chi would understand and know and be familiar with. In the Tai Chi tradition, leading movement from the Dan Tien is a concise way to teach whole body coordination. The body's core, especially the lower abdomen, pelvis, and waist region, initiates and organizes shifting, turning, and stepping so the limbs don't flail independently. This instruction has two complementary meanings that often get confused. So I've given you a hint so far. It's located in the lower part of the trunk of the body. One meaning is cultural energetic, often spelled Dan Tien as one word, D as in David, A, N as in Nancy, T as in Tom, I, A, N as in Nancy. Or you can separate it into two words, Dan, D as in David, A, N as in Nancy, and then Tien, T as in Tom, I, A, N as in Nancy. It literally means cinnabar or elixir field, a key locus in Taoist cultivation where essence, breathing or qi, and spirit are refined, the inner field where transformation is cultivated and stored. And you can find out more about this by doing a search for Golden Elixir Press, dated 2023. A second is functional biomechanical. In slow, continuous movement arts like Tai Chi, the lower belly, waist, pelvis areas tend to behave like the practical command center for controlling center of mass, balance, spinal organization, and smooth power transfer into the arms and legs. Traditional language, such as Qi sinks to the Dan Tien, waist is the commander, and modern physiology, which is core stabilization, intra-abdominal pressure, pelvic diaphragm coordination, fascial is different than facial. Fascial force transmission can describe overlapping training effects without requiring a literal interpretation of invisible energy as a measurable fluid. And if you want to know more about that very complex information, you can do a Google search for Pregadio 2021 and Hodges et al. 2000. So let me just make a correction here. When I said facial, that's spelt with the letter C, like in cat, facial. But I didn't mean facial, I meant fascial, which is spelt with an S, like in Sam. And what is the fascia of the human body? Every muscle is covered in the human body with fascia. If you were to buy, let's say, a chicken breast or a thigh or whatever with the skin on, if you lift the skin away from the chicken, there is a very thin film under the skin on top of the muscle or the meat. That saran wrap thin layer is fascia, and it actually can have more tensile strength than the muscle or the meat itself. So it's important to understand the fascia of the human body when you're practicing Tai Chi. So let's talk about Tai Chi, both biomechanical and energetic rationales. Compare Qigong lineages, address misconceptions and scientific skepticism, and end with a guided, safety-minded 3 to 5 minute practice today, which we may or may not get to because there's so much information. I don't want to just buzz through it and have your head spinning, myself included. I need to hear it slowly and try to understand what is being said. So if I have to break this into several podcasts, which again, we broadcast every Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time on my YouTube channel. The handle is at Energy Lifewave. Then so be it. And any of my students that come on board locally or online, I'll refer them to this podcast so they can digest the key foundational elements of how to practice Tai Chi with correct posture. Okay. So, opening and executive summary. Welcome. Today we're doing a deep dive into a classic Tai Chi instruction. Let the Dan Tien lead the movement. If you've heard that phrase and thought, okay, but what is it exactly? You're in the right place. Here's the map for our time together. First, we'll unpack the word Dan Tien, and I spelled it for you earlier. Then we'll look at where the idea comes from culturally. Taoist cultivation, Chinese health practices, and martial arts training. Yes, Tai Chi is considered a form of martial arts. After that, we'll translate Dan Tien leads into practical body terms, addressing posture, balance, center of gravity, fascia, and core activation, the role of attention called Yi, and breath coordination. That is why I chose the business name Tai Chi Kindness and Breath Work, because they work together. We'll compare Tai Chi with Qigong, including differences among medical, Taoist, and martial approaches. And then we'll address misconceptions, including scientific skepticism, and end with a short guided practice you can follow safely. And again, we may not get to all of this today because we only have like 17 minutes left. But let's get on with it. One key point up front. In serious scholarship on Taoist cultivation, the Dan Tien is not treated as a discrete anatomical organ. It's a cultivation locus, Locus, meaning a functional, symbolic center used for practice. What the Dan Tien means. Let's start with the literal word. Dan Tien is written in Chinese. The second character, Tien, means field. The first character, Dan, is commonly glossed as cinnabar or elixir. And cinnabar is historically a mercury sulfide mineral, which the chemical equation would be Hg capital S. Now, if anybody's listening and you know what HGS is, put it in the chat because I'll have to look it up later. Used in multiple contexts, including traditional medicines and alchemical imaginations. Refer to this book, Golden Elixir Press, dated 2023, Zhao, Z-H-A-O, et al., 2022. Those are sources. So, Dan Tien is often translated as cinnabar field or elixir field. It's a metaphor. A field is where something is cultivated and ripened. In Taoist inner cultivation, the elixir is not just a pill, it's a refined state developed through practice. Now, important nuance. In Taoist studies, scholars emphasize that many loci used in inner practice do not correspond one-to-one with anatomical parts. In a peer-reviewed discussion of Taoist alchemical body models, Fabrizio Pregadio notes that the 3 cinnabar fields are said to be located in regions like abdomen, heart, and brain, but are not equivalent to those bodily organs or to any anatomical structure in a simple way. And I realize this is really techy. So if you are like thinking, wait a minute, this is too much information for me, all you need to know is the area below your navel is your command center when you're practicing Tai Chi. Below your navel. So when practitioners say Dan Tien, they may mean a region in the lower abdomen, sometimes a 3-center model, or they could mean a practice focus for mind and breath, or they could mean a symbolic locus in an inner map of transformation. Historically, one of the clearest earlier descriptions appears in Taoist meditation texts dated by scholars to the early 3rd century. The central scripture of Laozi, Laozi, in a translated passage presented by Golden Elixir Press, the lower cinnabar field is described as the root of the person, a place where essence and spirit are stored, linked to the 5 breaths, and associated with reproductive vitality, semen for men, and menstrual blood for women. And isn't that fascinating that that part of our command center, our human body, is what should be the leading movement as we practice Tai Chi. If you're not aware of that, you could be leading with your limbs or your feet or your head, but the correct and sound way is to lead with the area below your belly button. How about that? Whether you interpret that literally, symbolically, or therapeutically, the key is the Dan Tien is described as a foundational center, a kind of root, or if you want to think of it as a reservoir. You'll also hear different locations. The Neidan Dictionary notes that medical texts often place the lower Dan Tien about 1.3 CUN, whatever measurement that is, below the navel, with some alchemical texts placing it behind the navel, and different sources give different distances. The same entry explains the field metaphor. It's where the elixir coalesces, like a seed in a field that sprouts and ripens. So if you've been confused by contradictory maps, good news. The diversity is already acknowledged in the tradition. So if we want to do some practice here, we're just going to put our hand on our belly button, actually a little bit below. And this is another thing I'd like you to practice, because I noticed when I took a class yesterday, the instructor was telling people to take a breath in, and I watched the instructor because I'm a singer, so I've learned myself the shallow way to breathe and the belly breathing, which is what Dan Tien is. So go ahead. If you can find yourself a mirror, you need to be able to see what you're doing. I'll give you a minute while I have a sip of coffee, for those that are looking for a mirror. Okay, so again, you're putting your hand below your navel on your lower belly. I'm showing you the correct breath work, and I'll tell you how to make it better if you're one of those, like I used to be, that was a shallow breather. You don't want to be doing that. And this is what I saw the instructor do yesterday. When she took a breath in, she said, now everybody take a breath in. And again, if you're looking in the mirror, or you can look later, although you'll be more aware of it now after you hear this teaching, the way you breathe now. Take a nice breath in. Now, later on, I'll tell you why it's better to do nasal breathing. But for now, a lot of yoga teachers, including myself, used to think it was good to breathe through the back of your throat. They call it ocean sound. And it has its place, but to get the ultimate bodily function and health, it's best to breathe through the nose. And I'll talk about that in subsequent classes. And I want to give a shout out to Dr. Michelle in Clearwater. She has a medical practice and she does teachings online. If you look for sleep takeout, maybe you can find her that way. So I thank her. She's the one that's telling me about this book. If you're like me and you have to know the details, I recommend this book that I'm studying right now in her class. It's called The Oxygen Advantage by Patrick McKeown. And I mean, you'll learn as much as you want to, but it'll make you a better breather. Okay, so getting back to taking a big breath. How many of you, if you were looking in the mirror, noticed that when you take a breath in, your shoulders elevate up toward your earlobes? If you did that, you would be called a shallow breather, and that is not the way to take a deep breath in, which I saw this instructor doing. I'm like, no, that's not what you do. The hand is over your Dan Tien. Now that you know what it is, it's an inch below your belly button. You put your palm on your belly. And when you take a breath in this time, I want you to think about the air channeling through your trunk toward your diaphragm area. So when you take a breath in, you want to have your lower belly or Dan Tien expand forward like you're filling up a balloon with air. So let's try that. Take a breath in and exhale through the nose. All right, now if you were watching me, you didn't see my shoulders moving up. They were relatively still. Yes, the ribs will expand out to the sides, but that should not elevate your shoulders. And primarily, what you want to do is feel your belly moving forward. So let me see if I can do this standing, just so you can see it. I'll do it again. My hand is below my navel, and I'm going to take a breath in, and then exhale. Inhale, exhale. Now I'm not pushing with my hand. I'm just putting it there so I can feel what my belly is doing. So if I try to make this real tight here so you can see movement. Okay, I'm going to take a breath in and exhale. Inhale. Exhale. So as a singer, we have to learn how to make this. This is our command center as a singer. And it's also your command center as a Tai Chi practicer. I'm going to define what that word is. If anybody knows what it is, put it in the chat. I used to call myself a yogi. Now, I'm not a yogi if I'm practicing Tai Chi. What am I? Okay, anyway. So I think this is where we'll stop because we're slowly running out of time. But I want to tell you how to practice this, just like my vocal coach in Nashville did. If your belly isn't moving, which don't be alarmed if it doesn't, it just means you're not aware of that part of your body, or you always thought taking a big breath in meant I had to. No, you don't want your shoulders to move when you're taking a breath in. It's all in the Dan Tien. So what you can do is lay on your bed on your back, and get a book, not a encyclopedia. Get a 300-page book maybe, or any book will do actually. Lay comfortably on your bed with your legs uncrossed. Roll your shoulders back and lay even on a yoga mat if that's what you prefer on your back. Get yourself comfortable, and then you're going to practice your breathing with the book on your belly with your hands at your sides. So you're not going to have your hands on your Dan Tien. Your book is going to be on your Dan Tien. When you take a breath in, you want to feel that book rise. And then exhaling, try to exhale through the nose if you can. You want to practice that. And I was so eager to correct my breathing because I had a really severe problem as a singer in Nashville. Every time I would try to sing in my head voice, I would hyperventilate and get dizzy and almost pass out standing there practicing solfege. So I tried too hard to correct my breathing, and it ended up with lower back aches. So you don't want to do that. That just means you're working yourself too hard. Respect where your body is at. Know it takes time, and just do a few breaths before bed, maybe before you go to sleep. Put the book there, take a breath in, feel the belly rise, and then exhale. It's like when you exhale, you're sucking in all that belly. You suck in your belly like you're trying to put on a pair of tight jeans. Remember the days? Well, probably, maybe if you're not a baby boomer, you won't remember, but laying on the bed trying to put on your bell bottoms, like trying to zip them up. You suck it in while you're zipping your zipper. That's an exhalation. Okay, well, I know that there's been a lot of information here, and if you need to replay, you will find this podcast stored on my YouTube channel. The handle is @EnergyLifeWave. This is Deborah Cohen, and I hope that you will stay with me every week at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time as we explore Tai Chi. But it's important to take extra time in the beginning to get your posture correct, so you're moving from your command center. Your Dan Tien is your command center. Welcome to my tribe, Tai Chi, kindness, and breath work. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a wonderful week wherever you are. And if you want to check out the website, I've just got a small landing page for this platform now, taichikindness.kit, KIT as in Tom.com. All right, let's see if I can find something to close with. And let's see, maybe this one. Thank you.
Blessed Adonai, oh my soul. What if I hear the voice tell me where I should go, even though it's not clear?
LifeWave stem cell patches, non-transdermal, enhance sports performance, improve mental clarity, improve skin appearance and confidence, increase your vitality, faster recovery from exercise, and a good night's sleep. Try the patches today. lifewave.com/Marty Cohen.